Stone for the construction of the road linking the Combos through Jambur and Farato in the West Coast region. Ongoing conflicts between government forces and insurgents has led to mass displacement in northeast Nigeria. And a date has been set for the construction of the multi-million-dollar clinical waste management plant in the Gambia. Well, these and more coming your way in this week. It's 2000 hours from our studios in Banjul. This is Africa TV. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, a date has been set for the construction of the road connecting Jambur along the Sukuta-Jambanjeli Highway to Farato along the Westville-Brikama Highway in the West Coast region. The road, as described by the Information Minister, is meant to ease traffic congestion in the areas and to boost economic development. Amindao has more details of that in this report.
The laying of foundation stone was presided over by the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure as a fulfillment of the government's commitment to national development. Among the areas in close proximity to the construction site are the people of Jambur, to whom the news had brought so much joy as they were already victims of poor road network, especially during the rainy season. The Alcala of Jambur has this to say.
All praise be to Allah. We cannot say anything today. We are so delightful for this. We thank the President Adama Barrow and his people because many presidents have passed, but all we say is they didn't do anything. They did something. But today, all praises be to Allah. We are here laying the foundation stone for this road. Please, let's do this with one heart.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Modu Sisi, said the construction does not only stop at Farato Jambur, but also to Brufut to Jereng, which is a 26-kilometer connect to the entire Congo district.
Our reason for being here today is for the Farato Jambur Road, which is 5.2 kilometers. We are here today to lay the foundation stone in honor of Ibrahim Silla and Ami Fabre. It does not only stop at the 5.2 kilometer. This particular lot called Lot 1 is for Farato Jambur, but Brufut to Jereng is part of it as well, which is 26 kilometers, to make sure that it lasts longer. It might get spoiled in the next 1 to 2 years, but if we reconstruct it now, it will last for another 15 years.
The Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Ibrahim Silla, highlighted the importance of the route.
Charge between Jambur and Farato, even by local transporters, is so expensive. I mean, it's only 5 kilometers to the very end, but they pay almost about $30. It is extremely very expensive because, I mean, this is a road where you should take not more than, 15 minutes. I mean, from one end to the other. But sometimes it takes them more than 1 hour to access the main road on the highway in Farato. So we believe that in addition to easing the difficulties, it will also decongest, the main Brikama, Farato, Busumbala, Yundum highway. Because most of the people who want to go to Brikama, now they don't need to go all the way to Yundum and then take this very congested road to Brikama. All you will do is when you reach the Sukuta Jaban Junction at the traffic light there, the Sukuta traffic light, you just branch off, come this way and then beat the traffic. It will cut, the traffic journey by more than half.
Minister Silla noted that the construction of these roads would be followed by additional projects to support youth and women, especially in the horticultural sector. Reporting for iAfrica News, Amindao.
The Gambia government to construct a road linking, of course, the Combos through Jambur to Farato. Now, as part of clashes between government security forces and insurgents in the northeast Nigeria has caused much displacement and humanitarian crisis. According to the United Nations, armed groups conducted house-to-house searches looking for civilians identified as aid workers. The Lake Chad Basin region is grappling with a complex humanitarian emergency as over 3 million people have been displaced And with over 300,000 refugees in the region, Omar Ahmad Toure has the rest of that story.
The year 2021 marks 7 years into the Nigerian refugee crisis, since violent attacks of the Boko Haram group started to spill over northeast Nigeria. Cameroon, Chad and Niger have also been drawn into what has become a devastating regional conflict. The UNHCR has raised its concern over the exodus of Nigerians following recent attacks by the Boko Haram insurgents in Borno State. Baba Baloch is the spokesperson for UN Office of the High Commissioner for Refugees.
UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, is deeply concerned as up to 65,000 Nigerians are on the move following a series of attacks by armed groups on Damasak town in northeast Nigeria's restive Borno state. Initial reports indicate that 8 people were killed and a dozen injured.
Baloch says up to 80% of the town's population was forced to flee, while their assailants looted and vandalized homes, a police station and a health facility. This is the third attack in a week, with reports indicating the killing of 8 people and a dozen injured. Years of insecurity and insurgency in Nigeria's northeast have created a massive humanitarian emergency in the Lake Chad Basin.
Violence in the Lake Chad Basin has uprooted 3.3 million people, and more than 300,000 are Nigerian refugees. More than 50% of them are hosted in Niger and Defa region, where these refugees, where thousands of refugees are now arriving from Nigeria, already host 250,000 refugees from Nigeria.
Echoing those concerns, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reported that humanitarian assets have been targeted, including the destruction of at least 5 NGO offices and vehicles, and a nutrition stabilization center. The crisis has been exacerbated by conflict-induced food insecurity and severe malnutrition, which have risen to critical levels in all 4 countries. Despite the efforts of governments and humanitarian aids, some 12.5 million people remain in need of humanitarian assistance in the region. For iAfrica TV, this is Umar Ahmadu Toure reporting.
The United Nations there raises concerns over the mass displacement, of course, by Boko Haram attacks in Nigeria. Now, the Department of Diplomacy and International Relations at the Management Development Institute on Friday organized a public lectures on the United Nations in post-conflict recovery. The lead counsel of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, who will serve as guest speaker to the event, spoke on the United Nations reforms in supporting countries in the recovery process. Khadija Seka tells us more of that in this report.
The first phase of the Cold War began after the end of the Second World War in 1945, making a period of political tension between the former Soviet Union and the United States in their struggle for global influence. There was no large-scale fighting directly between the two superpowers, but they against each other supported major regional conflicts. These historical events are what Consul Fall blamed on the inability of the UN to achieve its greatest potential in the maintenance of international peace security. He said it was hard for a decision to be made because the two countries were part of the founding 5 members of the UN Security Council.
Is that 5 member states have veto powers. If they vote against a decision, that decision collapses. But you have the US here and the USSR on the other hand. They could hardly agree on anything. So you see, UN intervention was difficult to obtain. So what the Security Council could do was to limit itself to the simple things that they could do to help achieve international peace and security.
In 1991, Iraq was sanctioned by the United Nations Security Council for attacking Kuwait. The purpose of the sanctions was to compel Iraq to withdraw from Kuwait and to disclose and eliminate any weapons of mass destruction. According to Esa Fall, these sanctions led to the control of all the resources of Iraq, thereby violating the sovereignty of Iraq. To him, that step was a clear manifestation of how unstable the UN was, adding that the disagreements between the 5 member states created a significant problem in decision-making.
This is necessary. Can you imagine? But that is also shows the awesome power of the United Nations. But it also showed the dysfunctionality of the organization at that time simply because of disagreements between various countries, especially the permanent members of the UN Security Council.
Lamin Cisse, a second-year peace and conflict student, elaborated on the importance of the topic in discussion at the Institute.
The lectures today with Esa Mfal is absolutely very vital, especially when he talks about us studying the peace and conflict. We need to know much about what United Nations is doing, more especially all the protocols that United Nations is rendering, both during the war and during the conflict rather, and the post-conflict, which Esa Mfal elaborated on. It's actually just like we are just from a university today, as far as by fall lecture is concerned.
In his closing remarks, the TRRC lead counsel said, despite the challenges faced by the United Nations, it is becoming innovative in finding solutions that will help the countries in their recovery process. Khadija Seka, iAfrica News.
And from the report there by Khadija Seka, next to Congo, where the 77-year-old Sassou Nguesso has taken oath for a fifth term as president of Congo Brazzaville, having held the role since 1997 after his initial term between 1979 and 1992. President Nguesso won the elections that was boycotted by the main opposition party by more than 88% on the 21st of March, rather. Now, Umar Ahmad Toure has more details of that in this report.
President Nguesso has become one of the world's longest-serving leaders after securing a first-round victory to a fifth term running the oil-producing Central African country of 5 million people. Speaking at the ceremony on Friday, President Denis Sassou Nguesso promised that his government will swing into action immediately with a blueprint focusing mainly on agriculture, tourism and industry.
Ici et maintenant, je recommande au gouvernement qui sera mis en place.
Here and now, I recommend to the government that will be set up in the coming days, coming weeks, to transform into an effective program of actions. The vision and commitment I just mentioned, based on the priority guidelines set up in the 2018-2022 National Development Plan, namely agriculture, industry and tourism.
Les grandes lignes. En nous inspirant.
Born in 1943, Denis Sassou Nguesso has been president of the Republic of Congo since 1997. He was previously president from 1979, during which he headed the single-party regime of the Congolese Party of Labour for 12 years. Pressure from the international bodies, he introduced multi-party politics in 1990 and stood as a candidate in the 1992 presidential election, but was defeated by Pascal Lissouba. He remained in opposition for 5 years before returning to power during the Second Republic of the Congo Civil War, in which his rebel forces ousted President Pascal Lissouba. He won the 2002 presidential election, which involved low opposition participation. He was re-elected in the 2009 presidential election. The introduction of a new constitution passed by the referendum in 2015 enabled Sassou Nguesso to stand for another term. He got re-elected in the 2016 presidential election with a majority in the first round. On March 23rd this year, the Electoral Commission announced his re-election with over 88% of the votes. For iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmadou Toure.
Denis Sassou Nguesso, of course, sworn in there as in his fifth term as Congo Brazzaville president. Now, there's more news coming ahead, but for now, we'll take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put in to constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
They say we slept in one world and woke up in another. This global tragedy got humans together despite our social distancing. Our nature is taking a break. And giving us a wake-up call on what and who truly matters. Look around you. Hold on. Breathe. Count your blessings. Take time for self-renewal, for a better start tomorrow. Soon, life will be back. Meanwhile, let's stand apart together, with one heart.
Welcome back, and this is Africa TV. Once again, many thanks for joining us. Now, the Gambia government on Saturday laid down the foundation stone for the construction of a multi-million-dollar waste treatment center in the West Coast region. The project is funded by the World Bank as part of its support program in the country. Let's have more details of that in this report by Binta Fati.
In their bid to transform the health sector, the government of the Gambia, with support from the World Bank, laid the foundation stone for the construction of the waste plant in Farato. The project is part of the COVID-19 response program in the country. Speaking during the event on Saturday, the Minister of Health, Ahmad Lamin Samate, said the project is also in response to the challenges in management of medical waste for health facilities in the country.
This Farato farm had been given to the Minister of Health to develop. So from now onwards, after this project, in the next few months, we'll come and do another launching, which will be the launching of the construction of the emergency treatment center of 100 beds in Farato, next door very soon. The new national reference laboratory for the Gambia is going to be on this plot of land as well. The new national blood bank for this country is also going to be on this plot of land again very soon.
Minister Samate added that the improper management of waste could lead to health problems, which is a concern for his management.
And we are happy that in the design, due diligence was paid and a great attention was paid to the functionality of the design, the quality of the structures, and we are happy that the GAP consultant has mentioned all the efforts and all the steps they are put in place. So we certainly want to remind the contractor as well. The Minister of Health settles for nothing less now than the best. We are very particular about the quality of work. It's no longer business as usual, that we build a structure. 2 years down the line, the doors are falling. 2 years down the line, the wash hand basins are not functional. The roof is leaking. The toilets are not functioning. Or even from the inauguration, we realize that the walls are cracking or the walls are not smooth, and so on and so forth. No, we are not settling for that in this country now, especially the Minister of Health.
When completed, the plant will take care of waste resulting from medical treatment, nursing, dental, as well as pharmaceutical. These include chemicals, medical devices, body parts, amongst others, which have the potential to cause injury or infections, leading to health issues if not properly managed. Reporting for Africa TV News, I am Binta Fati.
The Ministry of Health to build a waste management center in the West Coast region. And finally, now, a Tunisian entrepreneur has found pleasure in flower plantation in the remote part of her country, creating job opportunity for women and young people in the area. The former journalist began her farming activities, some working in different Arab countries, from where she drew the wealth of experience. Now, despite the challenges, her farm has become the first of its kind in the North African nation. Here's more details of that in this report.
Sonia Ibidi has lived in many Arab countries, where she worked as a journalist and a reporter for an international tourism magazine for several years. The 43-year-old entrepreneur returned home and invested all her savings in this land 4 years ago. Since then, it has become the first farm for edible flowers in Tunisia. It is located in the Yellow Lake village in the region of Tabarqa, northwest of the country.
At the beginning, some locals thought I was crazy for eating flowers because it's not part of their menu or cuisine in this rural region. Then they joined me to work the land and grow the flowers. That's how they discovered the importance of flowers for nature and started promoting this exceptional product.
Sonia picked some fresh flowers for me to eat and enjoy. It's a unique experience, but the taste is familiar. I would say it's like an organic salad. Sonia says her edible flowers have many health benefits. In fact, the production, distribution and consumption of flowers in Tunisia has increased since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic last year.
The flowers I picked and chose to grow in this farm have a good taste and smell that Tunisians like. I started with 5 or 6 seeds which I planted in pots. For example, capuchin flowers contain vitamin and boosts the immune system, especially during the pandemic.
Sonia believes in social economy in rural areas. The entrepreneur supports women in this mountainous region. Her business has created dozens of permanent jobs, as well as 30 seasonal jobs during the spring season.
I joined Sonia and some of her employees over lunch, and we discussed the positive impact of the farm on their lives. Sonia calls these women her sisters and business partners, while they describe her as the strong and courageous flower lady. Rauda was born and raised in this rural area. The 45-year-old farmer says work has empowered women and changed the lives of their families.
I have 3 kids at school. I grow flowers to buy books and pay for their education. It's a decent job. As a rural woman, I feel free and independent when I work on the farm. Here, I earn a living and I can offer a better future for my children.
The entrepreneur developed a business model based on domestic production and export to the international market. In the meantime, Sonia succeeded in creating a local market. Many prestigious restaurants and 5-star hotels are buying more than 40 flower varieties.
Growing flowers is an adventure and is a very challenging activity. I continue to research and to learn from nature every day. I'm proud of having created the first market for edible flowers in Tunisia and the region. I hope more people will follow my path.
In addition to edible flower farming, Sonia has planted a large quantity of strawberries. She is selling both the fruit and the leaves, which can be used for herbal teas. The entrepreneur now plans to launch an online platform to sell her farm produce to the whole world.
There you go. And from that inspiring report there from Tunisia, and we eventually bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on iafrica.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye-bye.
bari biyo ken kontan batale bari inatal pour kanna bullo ko jibe
ito kontantale makura bari ala ya lonte mon kontande makura kana nyina ko teninte belba tuba dudula kilimoto
moto nyalti kay
ngokko di bakato ngokina jang pour yana dula dala ni tata na dula to makura ala ya lon njuso malla ama